Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update. Join the only official Telegram channel of RAU'S IAS Study Circle to get relevant material and important updates.
Hello everyone and welcome to Daily News Simplified, your one-stop solution to detailed analysis of current affairs which are published in the daily edition of the Hindu newspaper and are equally relevant for your UPSC preparation. Articles dated 16th of August 2022 are listed on your screen, and the time stamping for these articles is given in the description box. And also, the notes related to these articles in PDF and Word format are also given in the description box. So let us begin with the first article for the day. This article of the Hindu newspaper appeared in the editorial page and talks about how India can improve its relations with the European Union, or how India and European Union can leverage the current geopolitics and help each other in their mutual progress. The context says that India, EU or European Union has recently completed 60 years of diplomatic relationships, and that has also brought to the notice that both these areas, one being the country, the other one being the continental grouping, has proved that in the last 60 years they have come a long way to improve not only their economic partnership but also the defense, political and other areas of cooperation. As far as relevance of this topic is concerned, so India's international relations, India's bilateral relations, regional, global groupings including the EU, important agreements are important for your general studies paper 2. Similarly, these institutions are also important under the heading of important international institutions, agencies and their fora. So as European Union is an important international institution, its importance could be asked in your general studies paper 2 in the upcoming mains examination. So keeping that noted, we are going to discuss every possible details about the European Union with respect to the UPSC examination. We'll also talk about the India-EU relations, their historical perspective, how they have evolved in the last 60 years. We'll also look into the various dimensions of India-EU relationships such as political dimensions, economic dimensions, trade-related dimensions, defense and others. Then we will move towards the issues and challenges in both these countries. We'll also look into the aspects of bilateral trade and investment agreement that is due between these two partners, and lastly we'll look into the possible way forward in this context. After this entire discussion, you will be in a position to answer these two important prelims related questions which are with respect to the topics that we are going to discuss. Then you will also be in a position to answer this mains practice question with respect to India-EU relationships. So let's begin with what is European Union. Well, European Union first of all is an economic union that has gradually shifted towards the economic political union. It has 27 members. Now for those who do not understand economic union, understand this through the simple example. Economic union is the one where the countries which are forming or which are the members of a particular union try to follow the same economic policy. It may be a same monetary policy, maybe a same currency. They might have similar external trade related policies and even their domestic economic or taxation policies. So if those countries are following a union, that is an economic union. And European Union is an example of economic union which has 27 member nations from Europe. Previously, when it was founded, it was also known by the term European Economic Community. But as we have discussed that it has evolved more from just being economic community to political and economic union, because now the domestic policies of these members are also being crafted utilizing the political status of the other member countries in the union. The European Economic Community or EEC came into being in 1957 through Treaty of Rome. The current status of European Union came into being in 1993 through Maastricht Treaty, which is a city in Netherlands. The aim of European Union is to ensure free movement of people, including labor, tourism, goods and services, capital goods, that is foreign investment, within their market. Now understand this through simple example. Now when some good, let's say, is transferring from one member of EU to the other member without the union, they are going to pay the taxes on the borders. That is, they will pay the excise duties and other related taxation. However, when they are part of a particular union, they do not need to pay such kind of excise duty because they are functioning under the same economic treaty. So that is the reason why when they form the union, they reduces or removes the taxation and other related hindrance to the trade completely. That is the reason why it is known as free movement. So the policy initiative is completely targeting towards more freer movement between the member countries. Now it started with the goods and services, but now it has been extended to people, capital and even more. Out of these 27 countries, 19 of them are using the common currency, and this common currency is known as euro, and the countries which are using the euro are part of eurozone. So let's say if you have 100 euro in your pocket and you are moving from one country to the other country in the eurozone, you are not required to exchange it with their domestic country because they are following the same currency. Now take the similar example. If India, Bangladesh, Nepal and Bhutan forms the union and they agree that Indian rupee is going to be the part of their common currency. So these four countries will be called as rupee zone, and a person who is having 100 rupee in his pocket can spend the same money without exchanging in Bangladesh and the same in Nepal and Bhutan also. The founding members of this union were Belgium, France, West Germany, now the entire Germany, Italy, Luxembourg and Netherlands. Netherlands is the place where Maastricht Treaty was signed. United Kingdom officially left the European Union under Brexit program in 2020. On the right side of your screen, you can see the entire structure of how European Union is actually functioning. There are two forms of institutions in which the European Union functions. The first one is the institutions which are being run by the respective parliaments and the governments of these member countries. The second one is the European Parliament, which is collectively elected by the citizens of these member states. So, the first one is where the parliaments and the governments of the respective member nations send their representatives. They form the part of European Court of Justice for legal matter, European Central Bank. So European Central Bank will have members from all these member nations. They are also forming the European Council, where head of the state, that is Prime Minister, President or any other body, will sit to form the council. They are also forming the Council of the EU. And on the other side, there is the European Parliament, which is actually heading the European Commission, where the executive guardians of the treaties are sitting, and they look into the implementation of important treaties, let's say the Maastricht Treaty. The same European Parliament is also looking after the European Court of Auditors. Auditor is important because they have the common monetary policy. Functioning of money becomes important and its overlook is also important. So their budgeting is important, and their budgeting is undertaken by the honesty of these auditors, which are functioning under European Parliament, elected by the citizens of their member state. These members of European Parliament are elected for 5 years. So these are the two important authorities. The first one is the European Council. The second one is the European Parliament. And both of them are together functioning in a synchronized manner to make European Union a successful union. Now, as far as memberships are concerned, so these are the important 27 members of European Union. Through Brexit, UK has left the European Union, and the one important country, that is Switzerland, is not part of the European Union. Now, as far as historical perspective is concerned, so here we have the timeline. In 1962, India and European Economic Community established their formal ties. In 1994, after the Maastricht Treaty, a cooperation agreement was signed between these two partners. The first summit of EU and India was organized in 2000. 4 years after this summit, India has upgraded its partnership from cooperation agreement to the strategic partnership, and defense and energy also became a part of their talks. Then, because of the 2008-9 European financial crisis, there were no such meetings between these two partners, and in 2012 the next meeting was organized after the gap of 4 years. In 2016, 13th EU summit was organized, and after that regularly they have been meeting. They have adopted more focus on the political and the security cooperation rather than just focusing on the economic partnership. So now they have evolved from just economic partnership to the more political partnership. In the 15th EU-India summit, they have focused to the new or the sunrise sectors such as artificial intelligence, 5G, maritime security, connectivity and others. And last year in the meeting, India has organized the largest ever EU-India meeting in which all the European Union members participated. So, what we have learned through this slide is that in the past 60 years, India has been a close member to the European Union, and the partnership between these two members have increased from just being economic partnership to more political strategic partnership. Now the question is, why do these partners need each other? Why India needs European Union? India needs to have diversification in the global support. So whenever India is looking to increase its footprints in the global geopolitics, India would like to have more support. And European Union is the one which can provide larger support to India. Let's say, for example, in United Nations Security Council's permanent membership. Now, global geopolitics has been witnessing the fall of conventional global order. Trade war between US and China, crumbling World Trade Organization, breakdown of Trans-Pacific Partnership. All these reasons have led to the rise of new, smaller but substantial powers such as India. Now, India is looking more towards more partners in the Western Hemisphere, and European Union could be the one. After Brexit, India would like to set up new political and economic dimensions apart from the United Kingdom in the Eurozone. European Union has supported the open and inclusive Indo-Pacific where India's strategic interest lies. And lastly, as China has been becoming more aggressive day by day, India's partnership with the Western Hemisphere for security needs is the need of the hour. Now the question is, why European Union need India? The first one is to reduce the over-dependence on China for resources, for materials, as well as for larger imports. India provides the avenues for high demand because of the high demography, and as India is a democracy, India's policy parameters remain more or less stable. Plus, India is moving towards more capitalized form of economy, which is beneficial to the European Union. India and European Union have common interest in avoiding the polarization between the US and China, and both of them actually support the concept of multilateralism, which is part of your international institutions such as UN, WTO, or even the IMF. Now, given this important relevance, India and European Union has gone through important dimensions and cooperation in various fields. The first one is the political dimension. They have signed the joint political statement after 1993. They have also gone through the ministerial meeting in which ministers from India as well as the ministers from European Union have come together on a platform to discuss important political agendas. They have also signed many cooperation agreements in the political field. India-EU summit has been organized since 2000. Legislative support on data security and privacy have been observed recently, where India has supported the data protection of European Union, and European Union has supported the data security and the data security structure of India. Both these partners are against the liberal data setup or data liberalization as propounded by US and Japan. In terms of economic dimension, European Union is India's second largest trading partner, and India is European Union's ninth largest trading partner. As far as exports are concerned, so European Union is India's second highest export destination after US. India also receives around 18 to 20% of its FDI from European Union. India is already enjoying the preferential tariffs under the European Union Generalized System of Preference, in which they have provided India the enjoyment of low tariffs, more market access in certain goods and services. Both of them has also gone through the Civil Nuclear Cooperation Agreement under European Atomic Energy Community. European Union has invested over 150 million euros of developmental aid to India. Even the European Investment Bank is providing soft loans for various metro projects across India. As far as defense partnership is concerned, which has now become more common agenda given the India's aspect or India's prospects in the Indo-Pacific, both these partners are looking towards the counter-terrorism programs, maritime security as well as nuclear non-proliferation. As India supports no first use policy as well as the peaceful use of nuke civil, so India would like to have more such partnership from the European Union. India's Information Fusion Center, functioning in the Indian Ocean region for providing and collecting the information, has recently been linked to the European Union's naval force. They have also organized the first ever India-EU security and defense consultations. And lastly, India is one of the largest importer, I repeat, one of the largest importer of defense goods from European Union. The best example could be the Rafale fighter planes from France. The other areas of cooperations are effective implementation of the Paris Agreement. Both of them are fighting against the climate change. They have signed agreements and the partnerships on clean energy as well as the climate. They are working on the offshore wind and the solar infrastructure. You must have read about International Solar Alliance, where major European members are partner. European Union is also contributing towards cleaning the Ganga River. India-EU Science Technology Steering Committee has been found to provide the more impetus to the research and development in the technological sector, which includes the 5G technology, biotechnology, artificial intelligence, robotics, cloud computing, and many others. Now, what else can we do? The first one is that both of them should conclude the BTIA, that is broad-based bilateral trade and investment agreement, in which India will get more market access as far as services exports are concerned, and European Union will get more market access in India with respect to their high-end goods in wines, dairy sectors and others. Both these partners should organize more defense exercises. They should have more cooperation in terms of medical areas as well as the tourism field. France is one nation which has provided one of the highest number of incoming tourists to India. Going beyond the economic dimension, of course, they should focus more towards the political engagement. More political engagement will gradually shift towards a more strategic engagement with respect to defense and energy. And lastly, bringing more European investment in the fields of Make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, health sector, technological sector, transportation, communication and infrastructure. Recently, India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has rightly said that India and European Union are each political and economic poles. See, these are the kind of statements which you can use in your mains examination. So both of them are political and economic poles in increasingly multipolar world. So yes, India is one of the pole, EU is another pole, and where they are existing in the multipolar world. They are not the only poles, so we cannot say it's a bipolar world. Both of them are actually emphasizing for multipolar world, and our ability to work together therefore can shape the global outcomes. So this is the statement you can use if a question is asked in this regard. Now let us discuss these two questions. The first one is, consider the following statement with reference to the European Union. It is the only and the highest form of economic union in the world. Yes, it is the only such economic union. See, by the definition of economic union, yes, it is the only such economic union in the world, because as far as ASEAN is concerned, NAFTA is concerned, SAFTA is concerned, they are not as integrated as the European Union. So the first statement is correct. The second one is, euro is the common currency used by all the members of the EU? No, it is not used by all the members. It is used by only 19 members. So this is the incorrect statement. The third one is, EU was founded under the Maastricht Treaty of 1993. Yes, this statement is correct. So your answer would be option C. The second question is, consider the following statement with reference to the India-European Union relations. The first one is, European Union is the second largest trading partner of India, which is a correct statement after US. Both sides have recently concluded the broad-based bilateral trade and investment agreement. The statement is incorrect because still they are in the consultation process. So this answer would be option A, 1 only. With this discussion placed, let us now move to the next article for the day. This article of the Hindu newspaper is part of editorial. As per the writer of this article, India is going through the lack of police agency reforms, and this has led to the authoritarian, colonial as well as the feudal status of Indian police system. So India is now going through the socio-economic and cultural development, but the police system has remained more or less vague and outdated. However, there have been some instances of the police reforms, including the justice system reforms that have taken place. As per the syllabus is concerned, so this topic is very important for the mains examination. This could be asked in your general studies paper 2 under the structure, organization and function of the executive, because police is part of permanent executive. It can also be asked with respect to the aspects of governance, including the justice governance. And it can also be asked with respect to the role of civil services in the democracy, because police is part of civil services. The next aspect could be asked in your general studies paper 3 with respect to the various security forces and the agencies and their important mandate. Now, police is a security force, so it can also be asked over there. So the content for today's discussion will include the status of police in the constitution and the statute, issues with the police system, what are the basic factors or the challenges faced by the police in today's governance system, important reforms that have been brought, including the judicial decisions, major recommendation of different committees and commissions, importance of Prakash Singh case, and the recent development with respect to the reforms to be brought in the police system. After the entire discussion, you will be in a position to answer this mains practice question that Indian policing system is subjected to the colonial legacy and contemporary hurdles. So you have to identify those colonial legacies and contemporary hurdles and also state some of the efforts that have been taken up in this regard. Now, as far as constitutional status of police is concerned, so yes, police is part of your state list under 7th schedule. If we go through the state list of the 7th schedule, we'll find that entry 1 itself is calling about the public order, and this public order will exclude the naval, military and air force, because all these three forces are under the union. The second entry of the state list says the police force, which also includes the railway police. Now, do not confuse the railway police, which is under the governance of the state, with that of Railway Protection Force or RPF, because Railway Protection Force is functioning under the Ministry of Railway and that is under the Union government. So do not confuse the Railway Police with that of the Railway Protection Force or RPF. So based on these two entries of the Constitution, yes, police comes under the direct control of the state government. However, the entry 2, which was added by the 42nd Amendment Act, says that union government has the power to deploy any armed force in the state if there is a requirement to aid the civil power, other powers, jurisdiction, privileges and liabilities. So let's say there's a particular jurisdiction of a central government, there's a particular piece of land in which the union government has stake. To protect that particular land in a particular state, the union government will have all the power and state government cannot interfere through its police in the functioning of the union government or its agencies. Now let's shift directly towards what are the basic problems. Now in UPSC examination, most of the answers are based on the issues, challenges and the way forwards. So with respect to the police system, before writing what government has done or what suggestions have been put forward by different commissions, committee or even by the judiciary, we should be in a position to understand what are the basic problems faced by the police system or the police personnel in India. The first one is the problems which are directly related to the police functioning. This includes the problems of organization, infrastructure and environment. So you must have seen the poor state of police stations, the poor state of police vehicles, their organization, there's a complete hierarchy. There are unwarranted political interference with respect to the transfer, posting and even corruption for that matter. There's a lack of empowerment of the cutting edge functionaries. So the constable or even the superintendent of police are sometimes not well equipped to handle a particular situation. There is a lack of motivation at the lower level. They are subjected to the poor working condition as well as the hierarchical shackles. There's a lack of modern technology. So they are utilizing the outdated technology, obsolete intelligence systems, divorce of authority from accountability. So whatever they commit, they do not take the authority for that matter. There's a problems of organizational behavior. So they sometimes do not find them to be working in a teamwork. There's an inadequate training. So once they are inducted into the force, they are not being trained regularly after 5 to 10 years. They have high attitude of arrogance, insensitivity and patronage. Insensitivity especially towards the weaker section of the society. Then comes the issue with respect to the prosecution. So the best talents are not attracted as public prosecutors. So normally what government do is that they try to appoint public prosecutor as that person who has limited number of cases or is least talented, because in most of the cases the good lawyers are preferring more towards the private sector or the private employment. There's a lack of coordination between the investigation and the prosecution agencies. Sometimes the same officer is involved in the investigation, collection of the facts and even at the security of different VIP movement. So that actually hinders the investigation process. And then comes the mistrust of the police in admitting evidences. As far as unethical issues are concerned, so corruption, collusion, extortion, insensitivity to the human rights, absence of the transparent recruitment and personal policies are the major problems. On the front of general administration, the enforcement of law and order remains the failure. There's a large gap between what people are aspiring from the police and what they are actually providing as a result. There's a lack of coordination between the different government agencies as well. So the crime investigation department or CID do not easily coordinate with the state police or the crime branch. Then comes the psychological issues. They have multiplicity of the functions. They have duty of investigating also and also taking care of the important VIPs. And sometimes even the constabulary position are being misused by the higher officers for the domestic work. There's a shortage of the personals, long working hours, and they have to handle the large population with less civic sense. And the last one is the problems related to the criminal justice system. There's a large pendency of the cases, sometimes even takes years to solve the case. There's a low conviction rate, no emphasis on ascertaining the truth, absence of victims' perspective and rights, and the large casualties inside the police station or the custodial death. Now the point is what government has done or what recommendations have been put forward in last few decades. The first one is Gore Committee. It was formed in 1971 and calls for the greater sensitivity among the police personnel to understand the human behavior. The second was the National Police Commission of 1977 that recommended for insulating the police from illegitimate political and bureaucratic interference. Padmanabhiya Committee of 2000 has recommended that constables and the police force should receive greater form of training in terms of soft skill. The Police Act Drafting Committee or the Soli Sorabji Committee has called for new Model Police Act to replace the age-old 1861 Police Act, which was also the highlight of this article, as you can see. As far as the important Supreme Court judgment is concerned, so in 2006, a landmark judgment with the name Prakash Singh judgment came into being and gave the 7 binding directives. So these were the binding directives given by the Supreme Court on the various state government. So it was not for the union, it was for the state. The constitution of the State Security Commission is the first one, and this commission would look into all the functioning of the police. How the police personnel are functioning, how they are behaving with the people, what are their timings of duty, everything else. As far as selection of the Director General of Police is concerned or the state DGP is concerned, that should only be selected from the given recommendation by the UPSC. A minimum 2-year tenure should be given to the police officer, especially at the rank of Superintendent of Police, without any political transferring. There should be a separation of investigation from the law and order. So the person who is involved in the investigation process of a particular case should be different, and the person who is looking into the security of the VIPs should be different. It has also called for the establishing of the police establishment boards to deal with the transfers. So this board will be responsible to deal with the transfers. The next directive was with respect to the police complaint authorities. By the name itself, it is easy to understand that it will look into the complaints given by the police officers against the police officers. And the last directive was with respect to the creation of National Security Commission for creating a panel which will help in selecting the chief of Central Police Organization, let's say CISF or CRPF. So all the chiefs, the head of these important organization will be appointed by a panel, and that panel will be under the National Security Commission. However, states have not adhered to these directives at all. So more or less, these directives have remained dormant till now. Now let's move towards what recently we have done. The first one is the drafting of Model Police Bill 2015. So the current government in the last tenure has drafted this bill to bring more responsive, efficient and citizen-friendly policing system in the country. But the point is that it is up to the state government, and that is the reason why it is known as a Model Police Bill. Even if it becomes a law, it is not mandatory for the state governments to implement this in letter and spirit. They can completely deny this under the Schedule 7th of the Constitution. The second was that most of the states have brought certain reforms based on the Model Police Act of 2006 drafted by Soli Sorabji Committee. In 2018 also, Supreme Court has reinstated the state government from appointing the DGP only after first consulting the Union Public Service Commission. In 2020, that is 2 years before, there was a committee which was created to bring reforms in the criminal law, and this committee was chaired by Balraj Chauhan to recommend on the reforming the criminal laws in the country. Now what this committee has suggested? This committee has suggested to bring the effective and the efficient manner of policing that will ensure the safety and security of the individuals, also looking into the constitutional values of justice, dignity and inherent worth of individual. So as per this committee, the justice system in which police is the most important element should function on the constitutional values of justice rather than just following the bureaucratic culture. Now, what else can we do? The first, we need to bring down the trust deficit between people and the police. And this can only improve through improving and incorporating the soft skill among the police personnel and investigating in impartial manner without any political patronage. There should be the restrictions on the unwanted and the mechanical arrest. Offences need to be made bailable and compoundable. So a person who has been arrested should be given chance to get a bail easily if certain crimes are conducted. There should be more emphasis on the use of technology and the forensic techniques because it will reduce down the human error or the political patronage or the political interference in the investigation. So we should follow the smart policing system that follows the strict sensitive police, modern and mobile police, alert and accountable police, reliable and responsive policing, as well as the techno-savvy and trained police. And lastly, state government must come up with their own police act, reform such police act to follow the recommendation of the draft police act under Soli Sorabji committee report. With this discussion placed, now I will leave you with this question to practice. So read this question carefully and try to answer this within 250 words. With this discussion placed, let us now move to the next article for the day. This article is part of text and context section of the Hindu newspaper and talks about the conflict of Nagorno and Karabakh issue between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Now, from the perspective of UPSC, it is important for you to understand the important international events, and the most important part would be to have a good understanding of important places, that is the map work. So, apart from the map work, we will also look into the background of this issue and try to understand the entire issue through this discussion. Now, Nagorno-Karabakh region is part of Azerbaijan. Now, please understand this. Azerbaijan and Armenia are two important Asian countries which are situated in the western section of Caspian Sea. However, Armenia is not bordering the Caspian Sea. Now, Nagorno-Karabakh is a controversial region which is claimed by Armenia because the ethnicity of the region is Armenian. But the area is surrounded by Azerbaijan. As you can see on the screen, the area shaded in light yellow color is the part of Nagorno-Karabakh region claimed by Armenia on the basis of ethnicity, however surrounded by Azerbaijan. The capital city of Armenia is Yerevan. So this is an important place. And apart from this Nagorno-Karabakh region, there are small enclaves. As you can see, the Gazakh enclave or Artvashenk enclave. We have Karki enclave. So these are the regions which are not situated in a particular country. For example, the Gazakh enclave is part of Azerbaijan but is located in Armenia. And because of these small enclaves and the entire region of Nagorno-Karabakh, both these countries have fought three major wars. They signed the ceasefire agreement in 2020. However, recently it was violated. Now let us look into the entire concept. But before that, there are two important places. Now, as we have said that the Armenian ethnicity is part of Nagorno-Karabakh region, then how come the people of Armenia transfer or transport or travel to Nagorno-Karabakh? There are two such places from where they actually transfer. The first one is the Lanchin corridor. Now please understand that it is a hilly area, it is a rocky terrain, it is a plateau terrain, so it is not a plain part, hence they have a limited area to travel. So the first one is the Lanchin corridor, where person can transfer using the Azerbaijan territory from Nagorno-Karabakh to Armenia or going back. The second one is Megheri corridor, and this corridor is situated in the southern tip of Armenia. Now this southern tip of Armenia is used by Azerbaijan to travel to its own territory. Now please look at the map correctly. Azerbaijan is divided into two regions. The first one is this one. I'll write it Area A. The second one is this, that is Area A. So Lanchin corridor is used by Armenia. Then Magri corridor is used by Azerbaijan for its own transportation. Now these complexities has been there, and that is the reason why these two countries have been fighting time and again. Nagorno-Karabakh is located within the boundaries of Azerbaijan. As you can see, it is entirely inside the Azerbaijan. But it is populated largely by the ethnic Armenians. So that is the reason why there is a conflict. Previously, they have already fought 3 major wars. Now, Azerbaijan claimed that it has captured the territory of Karabakh. Now, let me take you back to the map. As you can see, there are certain areas on this map that has been claimed to be taken by Azerbaijan back. That has also ignited the conflict further. Now, why Azerbaijan has done that? Azerbaijan has claimed that one of their soldiers was killed by Azerbaijani soldier, and in the retaliation they have captured it. Previously, Azerbaijan has been accused by Armenia to violate the 2020 ceasefire agreement, in which they have agreed to not fire at all on these borders. Under this agreement, there was an immediate ceasefire which was announced. A timeline was withdrawn. A timeline for the withdrawal of the forces was there. Russia became an important peacekeeper or the mediator, and they have agreed to create new transport corridors. Previously, there were only two, Lanchin and Magri. So, after this entire ceasefire agreement and both countries agreeing on it, recently it was violated. There has been no delimitation. There is no redrawal of the boundaries. No such agreement has been founded. There are different objectives. Armenia want to support the aspiration for independence of this region. So Armenia want that this region should become independent. Azerbaijan want to preserve its own national territorial integrity, so wants to control this particular region. Hence both of them are fighting. The demand is that Armenia want to station their forces, security forces within the Nagorno-Karabakh region. However, Azerbaijan says that it is illegal. Russia, which has become the peacekeeper and the mediator, has been completely useless because of their inaction to stop the ceasefire violation. Russia has not been active in controlling the ceasefire violation by Azerbaijan. And that is the reason why the conflict has taken such a deadly note now. And it might even aggravate in the future. So, from the perspective of UPSC, you should know these important places and the locations in the map and just a glimpse of what has actually happened. With this discussion place, now I am leaving you with this important question to discuss. So read this question carefully and try to answer in the comment box. Let us now move to the last article for the day. This article appeared on page 13 of Delhi edition Hindu newspaper and talks about the recent aircraft, that is Dornier aircraft, which was handed over to Sri Lanka as a gift by India. So India has handed over the Dornier aircraft to Sri Lanka. Now the objective of this aircraft is to have the electronic warfare mission, maritime surveillance, as well as providing the disaster relief to the country. Now Dornier 228 is a maritime patrol aircraft. It is not a warcraft. It is not an aircraft to launch missiles. And it is also not the carrier aircraft. So it is just a patrol aircraft in which 10 to 15 people will be there who will look into the surveillance system of the maritime area across Sri Lanka. It has a basic feature of short takeoff and landing, so it can be stationed in a small places also. The first such Dornier aircraft will be inducted into the Sri Lankan Air Force after this gift. The first such aircraft was actually created under the German forces and was used by the Swiss or the Switzerland forces. This aircraft has been part of India's initiative under the security and the growth for all in the region or the Sagar Initiative. Now, what is Sagar Initiative? It is aimed at safeguarding the maritime interest of its mainland, it means India's mainland, as well as the islands across India. So, if Sri Lanka is protected from the external forces, it will be beneficial to India as well. That is the reason why this initiative has been taken under the Sagar Initiative. Apart from the safeguarding the maritime, it is also including the maritime cooperation, naval security, economic development, counter piracy actions by the non-state actors, and also focus on the collaboration on trade, tourism and infrastructure. The simple example would be that if a person is traveling to Sri Lanka for the purpose of tourism and he or his family is on the coastal area, they are traveling through a yacht, they are traveling through a boat. So their boat should be protected, and that boat can be protected through the importance of high-end surveillance. And that high-end surveillance will be provided by the Dornier aircraft that India has gifted to Sri Lanka recently. So from the perspective of the UPSC examination, you should know what is Sagar Initiative and you should also know what is Dornier. With this discussion placed, now we come to the end of today's Daily News Simplified and we come to the question of the day. The answer to yesterday's question of the day was option C, that is right against self-incrimination and right to an attorney. The question for today is Sagar Initiative, sometimes seen in the news, is related to which of the following? You have 4 options to answer. Choose the correct option and do comment in the comment box. That's all for today's Daily News Simplify. Thank you.